Well, hello! It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. So I'm just going to mention I may have to chop bits of the video out because I was just outdoors before filming this and it was cold and it makes me cough when I come back inside. So I may have to cut hacking, disgusting coughs out. So, with that said, I will spare you the gory sound. With that said, let's dive into it. Videos like this interest you. Almost a cough. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, do you have a regular daily writer? Or are you doing like me and rotating between some daily writers for a while? Let us know down in the comments. And hey, I may bring up something else later on in the video, in the talking part of the video, where you may want to comment on too, so feel free to join in. But for now, let's take a look at some pens. So these are the pens, but I think before we look at the pens, one of my students dared me to do a shout out. So I'm going to shout out the YouTube channel GameLoad303. And there was a podcast I was supposed to shout out too, and I don't see it written here, so I will have to shout that one out next week. But anyway, we'll call this student Z. You have been shouted out. So let's take a look at the pens from left to right. I have a Parker 51, a Kaweco V14S. These were my daily writer pens till they ran almost empty, so I've been kind of holding a couple of drops of ink in them just so I can do this video. Because, yeah, it's been a couple of weeks. I have a Tatung, forgot its number, so I've got a list, so you write stuff down. Tatung 717. I have a Cross Wanderlust, which went for a little bit of a wander. I'll tell you that story when I pick up the pen and show you. I have a Scrikss 419. A Turkish pen, we'll talk about that. I have a Conklin word gauge, Rotring Renaissance, Montblanc 332. Platinum Izumo, Platinum President, and a MaJohn T1. I'm trying really hard to take a picture of these, and my phone is dead. And even hooking it to the charger, it does not want to wake up yet. So, before I mess this beautiful lighting up, I'm going to just take a quick pause, let the phone charge enough for me to take a picture. As always, I'll be doing my writing sample in this seafood-flavored cognitive surplus notebook. And it has been a while, so I'll talk about that a little bit later. So today is March 17, 2023. My very first pen. You saw me not have to do much restoring on, mostly clean. It's this Parker 51. I put a black ink in it this time because I wanted to use it as a daily writer because it's, good for that. So it's a Parker 51. It contains Montblanc Black, which several years ago I was given a bottle of that. I don't know which type of black. Apparently they have several. I've never really been a Montblanc ink person. I don't know much about them. But anyway, it's Montblanc Black ink for whatever that's worth. It comes in the shoe-shaped bottle. Running toward the end of it, I'm kind of thinking end of March, beginning of April, I will probably be through it. And then we'll try to use up another black ink. I'm focusing on color families, just trying to get my number of ink bottles down. So that's my Montblanc Black. Now my other pen that was a daily writer during this whole time is this Kaweco V14S. Very classy looking pen. In fact, I'd like to do a video where I compare all my Kaweco V series pens. This is a very nice daily writer type of pen. Fine nib. And again, Montblanc Black. I prefer the writing experience with this one to the Parker 51, but the Parker 51's a nicer pen as a daily writer because it's a slip cap. So I'm sort of cheating with these two pens because I now have my Montblanc Black in a different pen, which is going to be the subject of this coming week's video. I will be talking about another Survivor pen. It's I'm not going to say. You're just going to have to wait till early Wednesday morning to upload it. Last week, my Science Olympiad team ended up placing at Regional Science Olympiad. We will be going to state, so I was a little distracted. There was going to be video last week, and it just didn't happen. But I'd say for a good reason, not a bad reason. Alright, so this is my Tatung 717. It's a vintage Chinese pen. Very nice vintage Chinese pen. I like this pen a lot. I don't know why I don't write with it more often. So Tatung 717. The ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner. Make sure I'm still on screen, just barely. Blue Mare, which is a, sea blue. I think of it as kind of a turquoise. So this is another color family I'm trying to work through. I'm almost through this bottle. Next I'll be into a Lamy turquoise. And then I believe I will be through this color family, so then I'll have to decide, which one did I like the best. This pen is extra juicy as it's almost empty. I don't know why that is, but it is. My preview screen isn't really helping me. I can't see it real well. Alright, so this next pen is one that I wanted to write with for a few months, and I could not find it. I couldn't figure out where it was. And I feared the worst. I was trying to think, when have I stayed in a motel? I was thinking, did I take it on the road with me somewhere? Then I found it. It's been laying for several months, since October basically, underneath my couch. I don't know how it got there, but there it was. And so I pulled it out just to see how dried up it was, and it wrote perfectly. So the Cross Wanderlust has a great seal on it. And it's a beautiful pen. And I'm out of this ink. This is one of the ones that I used up in an attempt to use up this color family. So it was nice to go back to it one more time. And I think this is a very attractive pen. I haven't looked at Cross in years. Now, especially now that my channel has a more vintage focus, I don't think about them much. But I've purchased 2 Cross pens. I like them. They're both good pens. So what the heck is the ink? It's Iroshizuku something. Good thing I've got it written down here. Iroshizuku Fuyu-gaki. So, a very nice orange. I haven't really decided what ink I like in this color family. And I've got time. I've got several bottles of different inks in this color family. Right at the moment, I'm trying to use up Lamy Bronze. But I've got more to go after that, because somebody just couldn't stop buying ink. My next pen, a Scrikss 419. This is a Turkish pen. And, I don't know what made me decide to ink it up, but about the time I inked it up, I heard of a horrific earthquake in Turkey, and just a absolutely shocking humanitarian crisis and death toll. And, well, I just wrote Turkey. And what a horrible, horrible time of year to have a disaster like that. I should write and not talk. The Crikss. I just, every time you hear the death toll, you think, oh my gosh, that's awful. And then the next time you hear the death toll, and it's even worse. And, it's winter. So here's people in the cold, in very isolated areas sometimes, with no shelter. And, just what an awful disaster. And stuff like that just happens so quick. I keep food and water in my house in case the power goes out or something. I have some candles, for if I'm desperate that I can use for heat. It won't be super warm, but it might keep me from dying. But I'm not prepared for what happens if the house caves in. Just absolutely a shocking disaster in Turkey. Okay, my next pen, Conklin word gauge. I like this pen. I love how it looks. The nib, I'm not such a fan of Conklin nibs, but the pen looks really good. The notion of a word gauge, I'll show you here in a second, is kind of silly. Medium nib. The ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner again. Alt-goldgrün. So the pen has this conceit that it can show how many words you have left in the pen. That's a gimmick. It's silly. It doesn't measure anything really, but it's an attractive pen and it feels good in my hand, so that's why I have it. Conklin nibs, they just... something about them just feels not right on the paper. And the pen is comfortable, it's well made. It's just something about that nib I don't care for. Maybe I should replace it, who knows. Alright, then we get to my Rotring Renaissance, which I realized I have not written with in a long time. Is, I believe, the only pen in my collection that has not one, but two breather holes. I'm not sure why, but there you go. Make sure I'm still on screen here. Rotring, of course, means red ring. Rotring, let's see if I can spell Renaissance right. Oh! That's why I have it written down, so I don't make a complete fool of myself. And everybody says, how can I take you seriously if you can't spell Renaissance? It has a double broad nib, which makes me think a lot of a stub. So double broad nib, and the ink in it is a discontinued ink. It is Omas Gray, which... Isn't the first day of spring coming soon? Got a lot of snow out there for the first day of spring, but... So this is a gray... I don't know, it's nothing special. It's a nicely shading gray, but it... when I use up this bottle, I'm not going to be desperately searching the used ink market trying to find more. It'll just be done. So this is a Montblanc 32. No, it isn't. 332. It's a vintage pen from the 1930s. And almost empty because it's so much fun to write with, but I saved a little bit just for you. The nice thing is several of these pens I've been saving just for you, so now tonight I can finish using them up, and then I'll have a whole bunch of pens to clean, and a whole bunch of new pens I can ink up. Alright, the ink in this one is Lamy bronze. quite an attractive ink, but it's a special edition ink, so when I use it up, I won't be getting any more. Noodler's Apache Sunset was a color I really liked in this family. I guess Nathan Tardif decided to be a little bit more sensitive with his names, so it's got a new name that isn't sticking in my memory right now, so who knows? I've got a few more in this color family to use up. We'll see. Maybe I'll be back to one of them. Then I have my lovely, lovely Platinum Izumo. I'm going to film, probably when I film next week's video, I'm going to film another video where I compare this to the Platinum President. Because you can no longer buy the Platinum President except for the stock that's already on the market. So if you want the President nib, you have to buy this pen, which is significantly more expensive. So this has a coarse cursive italic nib, and the ink in it is Krishna, very nice Indian brand of ink, Writer's Night. Be nice if you could see on any of that. Just a very nice dark purple color. I have a small bottle. The Krishna inks seem to all come in small bottles, which is actually kind of nice, because when you have a big bottle, you feel like you're getting a bargain, and then if it's color you don't use very often, it takes forever to use the flipping thing up, as I'm discovering as I try to work through my ink hoarding problem. Very nice. And then we have the Platinum President, which is a revisit I did recently. The video you saw where I did this one, I had several people comment that it doesn't look like an iron gall ink because it's not changing color, and I agree. I'm going by the label on the bottle. I don't actually know, but this is Krishna Permanent Blue Black. And I probably need to start working through my blue blacks. This Krishna Writer's Night is another color family I'm trying to use up. Because the Krishna's in a small bottle, that's why I started with it. You get a few small victories under your belt. You feel like you're making progress. Of course, eventually I'll be down to the big bottles. The green cactus eel is one of those big bottles. Okay, and then finally, we get to the MaJohn T1. I don't know what to say. I liked the T5. This one, for whatever reason, just doesn't write as well as the T5, even though it's basically the same pen, just a little bit different finish on it. I think that's a medium nib. Probably. I'm starting to get a little bit farsighted, so I'm struggling to see some of this stuff, and unless I'm in the right light. So, probably in a year or so, you'll see me wearing glasses. Yay! I guess I shouldn't complain. I made it to 47 without needing glasses, so I think I'm doing pretty well. But I'm not going to be the stubborn fool that says, no, I'm not going to wear glasses. It'll make me look old. When it's time, it's time. Don't want to wear glasses because they're expensive, but whatever. It is what it is. So that is my writing collection of the past month or so. I promise that barring something unexpected, I should get on a more regular schedule after this. We'll talk a little bit about some thoughts about avoiding this in future years. Alright, so I'll get this out of the way first. I've thought this for a few years now. January and February are tough for me to get videos and my job and everything done. I am feeling like I need to do like Matt Armstrong and just take those 2 months off from videos. So I'd be curious what you think, but I just, I can get a few videos out during that time. I almost feel like maybe it would be better if I have time to film a video, to film it and bank it and build up some storage of videos. I probably should have done better getting videos ready over the holidays, but I didn't. But it's just 2 really difficult months to get stuff done. I have too much going on during those months. So, let me know what you think. I will say that there is a live streaming event coming, the one I promised. I'm going to try to make it a monthly thing for now. Clearly can't do it during January and February, but I'm looking at not March 11th, but whatever's the week after that, March 18th. So I'll put up an announcement or something well in advance so you know when and what time. I'm either going to time it for my North American audience or for my European audience. I'm not sure. It's hard to time any of these for the world. I have an Asian audience too. So it's just very hard to make it work. But I'm going to do my best to try to do a couple different times. I'm not staying up late because this squirrel doesn't do late. I'm a morning person, not a night person. But anyway, I am looking at doing it. Not sure what my topic's going to be yet, but hey, I've got 2 weeks to work on it. The other thing, I have a good update on Montana anti-science bill that I talked about a few weeks ago. It has been voted down in Montana. Even the author voted against it, although I think it was more because the amount of protests that came out against this thing. But yeah, for now, it's been voted down. We'll see how that kind of madness bubbles up again next time, whether in Montana or elsewhere. One of these days I'm going to have to talk about some of the nonsense bills in the North Dakota state legislature, because heaven forbid you do rational bills based on research and knowledge. Hey, let's just do them on the political fad of the week. One other thing I wanted to update you on. Sometime over the fall, I talked about a incident where a man, 40-something man, killed an 18-year-old kid by hitting him with his car. And this made it into the news. In fact, Donald Trump even brought it up. They're attacking Joe Biden for his recent talks on extremists, saying he's encouraging political violence, and used this as an example. Because the news reporting that was coming out at the time was that the man who ran over the kid was saying that the kid was a Republican extremist. Now, I said at the time when I talked about it that I believe alcohol was more of a factor than anything else. So there have been some updates in the case since then. It hasn't gone to trial yet, but there have been some updates. One of the updates is the actual 911 call has been released. So you can listen to the audio, and you get to hear the distinction that, oh, no, that's not quite what Mr. Brandt, the driver, said. It was more that the kid was telling him that he had right-wing extremist friends and was threatening him. And this Shannon Brandt was actually scared for his life. Now, apparently, Cayler Ellingson, the kid, was scared for his life, too. So, hey, well, how about that? And when you add alcohol to the mix, it just makes it even more fun. And yes, the kid was quite drunk. He had a lot of alcohol in his system. I forget, was it a .02 or .2? I can't remember. Anyway, very high. I've got the links so you can read it. But yeah, he was drunk, and nobody knows exactly where he got the alcohol from, but I'm sorry, we don't respond rationally when we're drunk. So we had a drunk and a drunk. Unfortunately, one of the drunks was behind the wheel of a vehicle. And the kid was apparently at some point up on the hood of said vehicle. Not a friendly discussion. We don't know yet what set off this. Apparently they didn't know each other. We don't know a lot. Except in the fever swamps. Discussion of this event has mostly disappeared. But, I think, again, it's important not to jump to conclusions because sometimes it's not what you think. It's better to be sure. And Donald Trump was one who jumped to conclusions, and there's a lot of commentators out there who did, and looking to be pretty wrong right now. The other thing that's interesting, there is a law that was passed, it was a ballot initiative actually, to protect victims, but the kid's family does not want to give the lawyers access to the kid's cell phone except for that short window of time around the time of the accident. But the kids, or the driver's lawyers are saying, well, the kid has a history of bullying. I don't know if that's true or not, but they want more access to the cell phone. And this law, which could end up going all the way to the Supreme Court, may make it impossible for the lawyers to have access to it. So I found that interesting. I don't know what'll come of that, or what they're hoping to find, but I will say this. Kids overshare. And when they get on this thing, they do and record and leave tracks that just make you go, ugh! And you kind of wonder what the family's afraid of having found. Is it nefarious that they're trying to hide something? It could be that they're just, let's just respect our son's privacy. We don't know. But it's interesting that that's going to come into this case as well. Again, the last little topic I wanted to bring up, I am working on my final book banning video, because I planned 3. This one is where I'm going to talk about the actual process that's in place for taking books out of libraries and schools, because there is one. It's not some loud, shrieky person comes in and says, you gotta take this pornography out, and finds the most extreme book they can. There's actually a reasoned process to it so that the loud, shrieky voices don't get their way. So there has to be some consensus and discussion. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to update you on the process of book banning in North Dakota. I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the books that have been banned and why. And funny enough, it's certain categories of books, not others. So I will talk about all of that. I also, coming soon, I'm going to have a special book banning treat. We're going to take the show on the road one day, soon. And I may be filming the footage tomorrow or Sunday. But we're going to take this show on the road, and we're going to look at a place where some book banning took place right here in good old North Dakota. So, anyway, I want to thank you for watching, and if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, I always bring in other random topics when I do this show. Let's see, what did I talk about? I talked about taking time off next year, or trying to be better about getting prepared ahead of time, except I can't do it with this show. The live streaming event that's coming up probably March 18th. Not sure if it'll be AM or PM, but I'll announce it ahead. The Mine anti-science bill is gone for now. The update on that case of the drunk kid and the drunk driver in small town North Dakota, and I've driven through that town too. That's another piece of footage that's going to come when I have some time to edit footage together. And my I've got my final book banning video coming. So, let us know down in the comments. I want to thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.